Unmute you. There you go.
How are you?
I'm doing great. How are you doing?
I'm all right.
All right, cool. Let's, okay, so your question was, what do you do from when you talk to the client to transitioning to running rates and doing the application, all that stuff, right?
Yes.
Okay, great. So I actually did that this morning. I took care of a client, and I actually videoed it. I recorded it on my screen, so it was kind of cool. But so what I'm going to do with you is I'm going to like pretend like you're the client, and I'm going to show you what I do to kind of take the client through the process of running a rate and stuff like that. And so I'm going to share with you
Okay.
my
I
screen.
was just confused because I know when we did the boot camp, you were talking about CFG, and then I saw online that you needed a login information for it, and I didn't have that, so I got the email today. So I was just confused.
That's right. It's just me. It could be a confusing process. So you're not alone, which is why I wanted to kind of put this together, because I'm always thinking like, how can I make it better? How can I make it easier for someone to kind of figure it out? And but these are really great opportunities to kind of show you. And I think, if I show you, then it's like, oh, that's it. That's all. Okay.
Right.
So when I'm talking, so let's say you're the client, I'm talking to you, and usually in the process, it comes down to, in fact, I'm going to pull up the new PowerPoint slide I put together. Now you wouldn't probably be doing it online. I mean, you'd be doing it online, and you could be doing a PowerPoint, but you don't necessarily have to do a PowerPoint, the PowerPoint that I shared the other day. But I want to show you kind of where it is in the process, because the PowerPoint presentation is what we typically do in the home. So we do like a flip chart. So the telesale is very similar, that we do this flip chart type of thing. And where it picks up is when it really kind of picks up right about here. Okay. So after you call the client, kind of did your initial, hi, this is Alex with the Senior Benefits Center, and we go into the script, and then now just in order to, and I do some small chit chat with you, and I just say, hey, in order to make sure we get what you want, get you what you need here, and take care of you, I'm going to have to ask you a few questions, and actually it's about it kind of goes like this. So I'm following the PowerPoint. Okay, so Courtney, what we do is a really unique situation. We're not one of those companies that does a one-size-fits-all, right? We're going to do the shopping for you, because we've got multiple companies. We have 16 different companies that we work with that are partners. And so we customize it for you. So in order to customize it for you, to give you exactly what you need that will fit in your budget, I'm going to ask you several types of questions in 3 areas. I'm going to ask you just your situation personally. I'm going to ask you about your financial situation, then your health situation, so I can really figure out what's going to work for you. Sound reasonable? And then, yeah, sure, sounds good.
Okay.
So as I go through this, I'm going to find out why, like, tell me about your loved ones that you're trying to protect, what you're trying to accomplish. A lot of these why questions, so that I can get an idea of what it is the client wants, what you want as a client. Do you want to be buried or cremated? Like a lot of your leads would probably be like the funnel expense leads. So the funnel expense lead is the easiest type of lead, because all you're looking for is burial expenses.
Gotcha.
It could be a full-blown funeral, could be just cremation, kind of whatever. And so it really comes down, the why on the funnel expense really comes down to, if you don't have this, what's going to happen here? How's your family going to raise the money? have you ever had a situation that a loved one died without life insurance? What did they have to do? So you're trying to get that, conjure them those emotional feelings of, well, I don't want that to happen. That's why we're talking. I don't want my family to be stuck with the bill. Okay.
Right.
So once you get that, their pain finding, once you get the pain finding done there, then we go into the financial pre-qualification. And this is where we ask the questions, and we call it the green sheet because it is an actual green sheet we fill out. But you should do this on the phone, or even if you're doing a webinar type of thing, you still ask these questions. So, do you have any insurance at work? Now, this assuming your client's working still. Like some of our seniors do still work, but others don't. They are just Social Security and pension or whatever.
Right.
So chances are, they probably won't have any at work. And the reason why we ask this question is if they do have insurance at work, this is our way to say, well, that's great. Most of our clients have insurance at work, but they don't control it. So should you get laid off, fired, whatever, you can't take it with you. So do you have any life insurance that you control that's in place to help your family? So this is where we want to know what else they have. And some of the people you talk to, they have 2 or 3 policies. They just want more. They just don't feel comfortable with what they have, so on. And then these other questions, do you have any other liquid assets to offset this need, like retirement, IRAs, et cetera? Now, this is the seed planting question for a possible annuity opportunity. So this gives us an idea of, like, we kind of write it down, and we know that we can talk about that later in conjunction with finding an annuity. Do you own or rent your home? Do you have any unsecured debt that your family be responsible for, like credit card? This bullet allows us to talk about debt elimination in the future, somewhere down the road. So you're just kind of like writing these little things down, okay? So the next set of questions is related to health, or this is actually related to the type of plan we're going to write. So now, are you a U.S. citizen or a permanent resident? Okay, now permanent resident typically is the illegal alien that has a tax ID number.
Right.
So CFG will allow us to be able to do a tax ID number person. So that's why we want to ask a question. Other carriers won't do it, but CFG is really good with that. Okay.
Okay.
Do you have access to an iPhone, smartphone, or computer? This will also help us understand how we need to work with them as far as electronic signature on the EApp. If they don't have access to a computer or a smartphone, then, what's the other one? Okay, email. I should have put email in there. And the reason why I asked that is because some carriers only do the email electronic signature where we email them. In fact, that's what I did today. Had to email them stuff to look for.
Gotcha.
Okay. That's why I use CFG, because CFG is like voice signature, which makes it way easier because they don't have to have an email. They don't have to have a computer. We just have to do the voice signature online. So that's why we kind of like them a lot. And Great Western for guaranteed issue, where, so that's why I'm just kind of putting in your head CFG, just to keep it, real simple. Once you get more experience, you're going to kind of know which company to go to that might be a little bit better for health underwriting.
Gotcha.
Okay. Now, will you be paying for this, or will your beneficiary or another third party? This is important because Foresters, for example, if you do Foresters plan right, which I haven't taught you that because it's a little more complex, but they require the person to be the payer. If there was like a daughter who wanted to buy it for her mother, then we're going to have to do another type of company, which I believe CFG will let us do that. Okay. And then, do you have a checking or savings account, or do you only use Social Security, Direct Express, MasterCard? And what this does is it limits us, because if it's only Social Security, Direct Express, MasterCard, like a lot of seniors have, they don't have a checking or savings, then we have to go with either Transamerica or Great Western guaranteed issue. Okay. Transamerica is a little bit hairy to work with. Again, not one of our favorite companies, nor is it one that I want to teach people how to do right away. So if you're brand new, let's just default to Great Western for now and give them a quote on the Great Western guaranteed issue. Nice thing about Great Western is they have two versions. They have the guaranteed issue, which is someone who's really, really sick. Then they have another version called Great Western Assurance Plus, which has lower rates, that they can answer like 3 basic medical questions. So if they have that Direct Express Social Security card, that's really kind of the go-to company. Okay. So after you kind of find all this out, then it kind of gives you an idea of what company you're going to probably think about. You know what? You're making me think. I got to put this somewhere. I got to put this somewhere in notes. I got to write this down somewhere.
Mhm.
So this is good to be doing this with you, which is probably one of the biggest reasons I wanted to do it with you over the Zoom call, so I could document this.
Right.
And then you can watch this back. Okay,
Awesome.
so it'll be good for you and for me. So, and by the way, like, I love when you ask questions. It tells me that you're engaged and you want to get good at this. So that tells me you care. So that means a lot to me. Okay, so health pre-qualifications. So these are general health questions. So you don't have to ask them the entire application. Okay, so this is where I'm going to really teach you kind of what to do when you ask these questions. Okay, so what is your height and weight? And that determines whether or not we can get them into this product. And so if you remember on the boot camp, I talked about having the product guide accessible. Again, this is the simple way to help you get started. You're going to start using all the other tools that we have for underwriting, but this is, if we know that we're going to kind of lean towards CFG whole life, then having the underwriting guideline helps. So I find out the height and weight. So I'm going to look up, I'm going to have the underwriting guideline next to me. So this is going to be good because this will help you know what to have like open on your computer or even print it out. So this is the final expense product guide. Okay. And so when I ask the height and weight question, now I'm not going to be scrolling through this while, I'm going to ask these questions, but I'm going to write it down, but I'm going to know where to look on the underwriting guidelines. I'm going to look for the page that has the height and weight. And so they're going to tell me the height and weight, and I'm going to look here if they fit. Okay. Now, here's the thing. If they don't fit the height and weight, then we can't use this product. And then we're going to have to pivot to another product, which I got to incorporate this new product. It's called CVS Health.
Yeah.
And CVS Health has no height and weight restrictions. And their rates are going to be a normal whole life rates, because without that product, if they bust the height and weight guidelines, then we're going to have to go to guaranteed issue. We're going to have to go to Great Western or AIG, which are going to be much more expensive. Like if you start running rates, it's much more expensive than regular whole life, just because it's guaranteed issue. So if they're height and weight, so that's why CVS, we have a chance to get them into a regular rated product. And then Great Western is 40 to 85, no, 40 to 80. So you might talk to someone who's under 40 that's morbidly obese. Well, then, we have CVS, which I think, I'm not sure if it even goes below 40 either, But again, it's a better rated product. So that's kind of the whole height and weight discussion. This is where we look at the height and weight guidelines, okay? So let's go back to the next question. Do you use any nicotine products? So that kind of goes to the idea of smoking. And that's the thing. We want to know if you use any nicotine products. That's why we ask it that way. Because they think some people think vaping's not smoking. Well, vaping's nicotine, right? So, you know, that's all considered nicotine products. And if they're in a state where marijuana is legal, they consider marijuana smoking also as smoking. So that's another kind of a twist. And that's part of the application. So that might be, and actually another thing that
So the only thing is that like smokeless tobacco or cigars are not considered any portion of that, and they don't really care about that. So that's what you said,
actually,
right?
cigars, pipe are nicotine. So that's
Okay.
considered smoking.
Okay.
Except for, okay, so let me throw this little twist in there. Forrester's Strong Foundation term, non-medical, which is the product similar to CFG Safe Shield. So on the boot camp, we talked about Safe Shield. That's the term product. It's for mortgage protection. Forrester's Strong Foundation is the same product for mortgage protection term. The way that they view that product, the way they underwrite that product, is they only want to know if they are cigarette smokers for tobacco. If
Gotcha.
they're not cigarette smokers, if they're pipe, chew, vape, then they're not considered smokers. So that's kind
Okay.
of the only product that does that. So when you run into someone who's a smoker that does pipe, chew, whatever, then Force Strong Foundation for the term product would be maybe the product you would lean towards. Okay. So I got to make these notes. Or use marijuana. Considered smoking. Okay. Anything major like heart attack, diabetes, stroke, mini stroke, cancer, hepatitis for either of you. So this goes into, can we get them covered? And so on the boot camp, I have a medical questionnaire that you can download. It's all in that post boot camp page.
Okay.
And what I did with that is I took out the underwriting questions, which is page 2. Okay. And so this is important for you to kind of learn how carriers look at underwriting whole life. And they all work like this. So all the applications, to include Foresters, Mutual of Omaha, they're broken down to like 3 sections, 2 or 3 sections. This first section, part 1, it says here, if any question in this section is answered yes, do not submit the application. So this part up here is the knockout questions, where if they say yes, then we got to go guaranteed issue. Okay.
Gotcha.
So when you ask a question, heart attack, stroke, mini stroke, etc., it gives us an idea that there's some serious things wrong, or it might mean that we go graded benefit. So that's really kind of the decision. Which one do we show? Like CFG has Elite, which is the best rated version of the product for healthier clients. Then they have Select, which is for people that aren't as healthy, but it's still full benefit from day one. Then they have Graded, which is they're a lot sicker, so the full benefit doesn't kick in until after 2 years. So those are those 3 green buttons at the bottom. And then as you put medications in on the quoting tool, which actually, that's a video I did this morning because I took her through that. So it's really cool. I can't wait for people to watch that, because then you'd like totally know in a real client situation what you do to determine which one you do. But it's all kind of based on this as well, because the electronic application has the knockout questions. So it's better to know up front. So when you read through this, then you'll kind of understand, oh, this is simple, because this is how they think about underwriting a client. So when you look at these questions, for example, by the way, I mean, I don't want to take like 3 hours, but are you like, you got a hard stop? Like you got to go feed the family or whatever?
Oh, no, you're fine. We were doing grocery shopping when you sent me that message, and so I was trying to get that taken care of.
Oh,
So
okay,
you're
good.
good.
Okay, great. Awesome. Yeah, I can imagine grocery shopping for you is how far away, right?
30 minutes one way.
Oh, okay. So yeah, it's an hour of
Well,
your time just to get
we had
there.
to go to multiple places, so
Oh,
because they were
jeez.
out of stuff. So
Oh my gosh. So you must have to load up because you don't want to make that trip all the time.
yes, so we make it a like payday weekend. Like we take one day, and that's when our running around is to take
Yeah,
it care of.
it
It's
totally makes sense. Totally makes sense. All right. Oh, by the way, that was a really cool picture, that Christmas picture with
well, thank
all,
you.
that was so cool.
I told Jenny I was like I'm a sucker for rescuing dogs. She told me not to tell you, so
Yeah, it's like over her dead body. You know, every time I mention a dog, over her dead body. So there's probably gonna be a while. And I take care of all the pets in the house anyway, the turtle, the fish, the bird. Like, yeah, I've already proven myself, you know, and
right.
he's like, well, I don't know. I'm still working on her. So always put in a good word. When you're talking to her, just like, oh, my dogs are awesome.
Right. Well, my husband's a gun enthusiast. So the dog before the last one we got, he was like, okay, but only if I can get a new gun. But like the puppy's free, and see, like
Right?
we're already feeding the other three, so
Oh, wow. That just shows you have a kind heart. So
yes.
good deal. Okay, so kind of when you read through this, you kind of understand the nature of the question. So number one, are you currently hospitalized, confined to a nursing home, hospice bed, etc.? Like if they're in a facility, man, they're not going to want to give them insurance because they're
Right.
bad off. Yeah, sometimes you're in a facility temporarily. Okay, some companies view the temporary thing as okay. They'll underwrite it once they get out. Notice here, confined to a wheelchair due to illness or disease. Um, okay, so some companies, not CFG, sometimes throw walkers in there and wheelchairs, and that's a decline. Sometimes it's a wheelchair. This one's really liberal because illness or disease. Some could be in a wheelchair temporarily because of a knee replacement. So they're convalescing from an injury. They're okay, right? So there are very subtle things in these final expense applications that you got to watch out for, where one company could be better than another. Okay, that's a little bit down the road. So when you like print out all the final expense application, all of them, you know, I would print out SureBridge, Mutual of Omaha's Living Promise, CFG Choice, and Sportster's Plan Right, and then stick the medical questions right next to each other. And then you're going to kind of see how they handle it. There's little subtle differences, but sometimes those differences can make a big difference. So
Right.
that's sort of exercise for the future, okay? Just want to plant that in your head now, okay? So wheelchair due to disease or illness. The second one is the HIV thing, okay? And so the nice thing about people with AIDS or HIV is that we have the guaranteed issue. So we actually write up a lot of people with AIDS, HIV on the guaranteed issue products. So, you know, that's, so we always have somewhere to go for the HIV person, okay?
Okay.
Okay, this is the transplant question. So insurance companies for whole life, they're not cool with transplants, you know, and then they throw in this one here, kidney dialysis. So those are people that have, you know, bad kidney problems. Dialysis is not a good thing either. So a lot of times that'll be a decline. Are you waiting for test results? So that's the other thing. This number 4 is test results or diagnostic testing, except for HIV, because they want to know if the client had a test. They want to know what the result is. So they're not going to underwrite it until they know the result. And it could be anything, right? It could be like, but what they're trying to stop is the person that had a biopsy on a tumor to determine whether it's cancer or not. This will stop someone who they get the biopsy and they try to get insurance, right? Before they know
Right.
the results, they want to cover them. The insurance companies want to cover themselves for that.
Gotcha.
Have you been diagnosed with and received treatment for mental retardation, Downs, cerebral palsy? This goes into the some of the major mental things: muscular dystrophy, spina bifida, cystic fibrosis. The stuff that'll definitely end your life sooner. The other ones here have been diagnosed or taking medication for congestive heart failure, Alzheimer's, dementia, Lou Gehrig's disease, cardiac defibrillator implant. So this is one of those implants that, well, I mean, you're a paramedic, just shocks you into, if you go to AFib.
So what about a defib pacemaker? Because they have a dual. Is
Yeah,
that
that's considered a defib.
okay? I just want to
Okay.
make sure because I
Yeah.
know they have the dual
Yes.
defib pacemakers. So
Yeah.
okay,
And so then it says, now notice it says except pacemaker.
right.
So just the standalone pacemaker is cool. Then during the last 24 months, you've been diagnosed or treated, including taking medication by a member, by a doctor, any form of cancer. And this is 24 months. Okay. So remember, be conscious of the 24-month thing. If they got over cancer over 24 months ago, they're good to go. If they're dealing with it within 24 months, which means they're in chemo. Okay. Now, tamoxifen is not considered a treatment for it, but it's considered a maintenance drug, right?
Mhm.
So like with a woman, like my wife, she's got to take tamoxifen for whatever, 5 years, 10 years. That's not considered treatment. Treatment would be like chemo drugs or whatever, okay?
Gotcha.
And then last 6 months, have you had a heart attack? So beyond 6 months, then heart attack, okay, they can get into the product. So now section 2 determines whether or not they get the graded. Okay, so you can read the thing here. If any question in this section is answered yes, the proposed insured will be considered for the Classic Advantage Graded Benefit Plan. So this is the graded program. So they're going to ask some of the same questions, but now it comes down to how long ago was it? Okay.
Okay.
So have you been diagnosed, treated, tested positive for COPD, chronic bronchitis, emphysema, black lung disease, chronic respiratory disorder, excluding asthma or sleep apnea, or use oxygen to assist with breathing except for sleep apnea? So the oxygen thing, these things means that they'll definitely be graded benefit. Okay, they can still get on the product, be graded, right? Last 36 months, number 2, receive treatment for the following: kidney disease, kidney failure, liver disease, chronic hepatitis, drug or alcohol abuse, dependency, sarcoidosis or systemic lupus, MS, Parkinson's, schizophrenia, brain tumor. So getting back to the PowerPoint, when you're asking general health questions, you're going to be asking medications. Medications will be an indicator for these issues, right?
Right.
So that's kind of your fallback. So you ask the big questions: heart attack, stroke, cancer, diabetes, etc. That kind of gets us into the conversation relative to knockout questions. So as you start discovering their health, once you know kind of what the application looks like, then it'll help you ask further questions. Okay. But like I said, there's the backup of running the medications through the quoting tool. Okay. So the rest of it, this is like lifestyle stuff. Parole, are you on parole? Possession of drugs, illegal substances, been convicted of 3 or more moving violations. Okay, that'll be graded. Okay, and so on. Here's during the last 24 months, stroke, including TIA, aneurysm, enlarged heart, angina, peripheral vascular disease, pacemaker implant, stent, angioplasty, bypass surgery. So they might have had a stent 26 months ago or later, then they're going to be good with the full benefit. So that's kind of where these issues, it's that 24-month window. Then last 36 months, complications of diabetes. So this is a complication of diabetes question, which is insulin shock, diabetic coma, diabetes not under control. The part B is, the other complications like retinopathy, nephropathy, neuropathy, all those opathies. I'm glad you're a paramedic
Yeah.
because you know what I'm talking about.
Yes.
And then insulin for treatment of diabetes prior to age 50. So a lot of the companies are kind of sensitive to diabetics taking insulin prior to age 50. And then some are not, but CFG, that will determine if they're graded. Last 7 to 24 months, you've been diagnosed for having a heart attack. So this is the 7 to 24 month. So before it was 6 months, right? In the last 6 months,
Right.
it's a knockout. 7 to 24, it's graded. Beyond 24, then they're good to go with, they can get elite, the select or elite. Then question 3, if the question in this section is answered yes, the proposed insurer will be considered for classic select. So that's that middle one.
Okay.
If 2 or more are answered yes in part 3, they'll be considered for the graded benefit. So part 3 is very short, 3 questions, past 5 years, cancer, been treated for AFib, and then performing activities of daily living. So they can still get a graded benefit for that. Okay, so I go over this so you can, when you start asking the medical type questions, you got a feel for what you're going to be able to quote them, okay? Then I lay in this family history because this allows you to go back and talk to them about hospital indemnity, or actually cancer, heart attack, and stroke policies. So again, planting seeds. Do you have your health license, by the way?
Yes.
Okay, rock on. Then those are things you can come back for. So you can be a Megan Wood. You can go back like within a week and just say, hey, by the way, you mentioned that you had family history of such and such. We have a cancer policy that can help you out. This is how it works. And then you can go back and help them out with another product.
Okay.
Okay, the medications, again, these will be indicators. And so you're going to be good because you'll understand medications. Some people have to sound it out, but we want to know what they're taking and why they're taking it, because it's as important as to why they're taking it, because dual use medications, one use could be a decline, the other use could be perfectly fine, right?
And
So
sometimes they may need a doctor's note for that if they're not taking it for they're not taking it for like high blood pressure or whatever, that they're using it for something else.
right, exactly. And so in some cases you might have to get that doctor to tell why. In some cases you have to annotate the dual use nature. And here's something to take note, that if you do have a client decline because of medications, and it's because they didn't understand that the medication they were taking was dual use, and they used it for the other thing, we can always go back and advocate to get that overturned, okay? We just have to get a doctor's note and then they'll overturn it. So just kind of be sensitive to the fact that you're the advocate for a client when it comes to a dual use situation.
Gotcha.
Then any surgeries or overnight stays in a hospital, again, indicators of anything that could knock them out. And then how long do you stay there? So this is planting the seed for the hospital indemnity program that'll pay the client. It could be $200 a day they've been in a hospital, or $500, and people as they get older, man, they have a history of being in a hospital multiple times. So it's another opportunity to help them out with another great product, that they can potentially get. So again, and this is all to answer your question, what do I do with a client? This is kind of how it helps you decide what to do with a client and what to show them.
Okay.
And then we go through the budget, make sure it fits our budget. This is where we tell them what's going to happen next. I'm going to show you 3 premium options, and then you're going to pick one. And we go through that. We don't know. This is really gets rid of the think about it. We don't know that there's anything to think about, Joe and Mary. So we got to at least determine if you're approved. Once you're approved, then you're going to receive the policy, and then we can think about whether or not it's got everything you need. You want to raise it or lower it, whatever you want to do.
Okay.
So this is how we get rid of the think about it stall with clients, and it works real good. Then we talk about how final expense works, or mortgage protection, and then the quote. So we're going to give them quotes, and then this is where, like, what do we do now? So let me pull up.
And so all of this is done on when you first call them, like they sit down and they actually talk to you, like, okay, I'm going to pull up the quote while we're here.
Yeah.
Okay.
We're going to try to do it the first time through. If they need to reschedule. Okay, so this is kind of one of my agents actually in Pennsylvania. She's actually been pretty good at doing a second appointment. We're not big on the second appointment only because the closing rates go down. But sometimes you are not in a situation. So at this point, once you have all this information, you're still kind of like feeling like, call me, like text me, Alex, like tell the guy, okay, now I'm going to figure out what's the best program for you. So bear with me. I'd have to put you on hold. In the meantime, go grab a pen and paper so you can write down when I have the quotes ready.
Okay.
Then you can call me, say, okay, I have this client that has this, this, and this. What should we do? Okay, so, also what you can do is once you get all this information and, like, for example, the client's going, the client says, how long is this going to take? And they're going to be like, you can tell they're getting a little testy because, once they pick, then we got to do the EApp, which could take another half hour, right? So if you can tell there's tension on their side that this is going long, say, okay, perfect. Hey, what I'm going to do is I'm going to give you a call back. Are you going to be available in about an hour or two? And then I'll have some options for you, and then we can get back together. Is that okay? Yeah, sure. And then try to nail it down. Like, don't let them off the hook for 3 days from now. The sooner you can get it booked, the better. Okay. And then you can call me, and then we can talk about it and just have a little more time. But you always have those options.
Okay.
But it's best to try to power through the rest of it. Okay.
Okay.
So this is where knowing the medications will help you. Okay. So, and this is really kind of what I did for this gal I had this morning. One of my, it even has all her stuff on here too. Yeah, so you'll be able to see the video. So I got the client's age. Okay. This is actually all of my client's stuff. Female, 5'3", 175. So I go next, and this is where I put all the medications in. Oh, it got rid of all the medications. And so all I did was you'll see the video of me doing it. So and I just kind of went into it, man. She had to take 3 medications for her back. She has a little bit of nerve pain because of her back, not because of diabetes. So this is where we get into the issue regarding the use of the medication. It's not because of nerve pain from diabetes. She's on 3 blood pressure medications. And, I was like, oh man, 3 medications, what's going to happen? And it was okay. I mean, it was yellow. So Elite and Select were yellow, which means she still could get it. What that means really is how she answers the medical questions in the application will determine whether it's Elite or Select.
Mm-hmm.
I could definitely still get her Advantage because Advantage was green, but I still thought that she could, get Elite or Select. And so I just went ahead and quoted her Elite. And then I just ran the rates on her and stuff. Okay. And then you'll hear on the recording, she wanted $30,000. Like, okay, the recording's on a current client. She needed insurance because her 2 policies lapsed that she had with me. She wanted to get more insurance. She moved to another state. And so she wanted $30,000. So when I gave her the quote, it was like $109. It's like, oh, that's a little bit high. I dropped it down to 20, and it ended up being affordable for her. Okay. So do you see how the transition this is why I'm not surprised you're kind of the leap from talking to the client to running quotes. There's a lot more to it, and it's all about field underwriting, and kind of knowing, kind of what you're dealing with, right?
Right.
So again, having the product guide, when you read through what's in the product guide, let's see if I can get to it.
Because my question, I guess what I didn't understand is that, from talking to them, like, okay, so they wanted, final expense. So was CFG the only company or carrier that did final expense? So that's where I was kind of confused as to,
Yeah.
I know that right now I can do from the 6th that Brenda had me go in the system and do. So that's where, and because I didn't know how to work the rest of them either, or where to go to even get to the application. So I had some form of disconnect.
Oh, easy to understand that. So let me kind of do a little bit of orientation for you to give you a feel for where to go for the additional products. And
and I looked through all the stuff that was given. So if I overlooked it, my apologies.
no, you did not. You didn't. Oh, there it is. Okay, so we're going to go to, oh, wow, I hear rain outside. That's probably, of course, beautiful and sunny in California, right?
Well, it's 109 degrees.
Oh my gosh, that's right.
So
that's why you're in your air-conditioned house.
Yes.
You're not doing this on your patio.
No, not yet at least.
Not yet. Okay, so we're going into NALeads.com. And so like all these products are very similar. Like they all really work similarly. They just have little nuances. Where they differ is how they do the EApp, which is really important to us doing electronic applications over the phone. And so the carrier page here has all the companies. So
Okay.
the companies, the 3 main companies for mortgage protection, the term and the whole life, kind of the go-to companies are, Colombian Fund. Seriously, I got to sign in again. Oh no. No, you took away NA leads from me. Seriously? They did. Oh gosh, they did. Okay, so I'm gonna have to, like, they're trying to wean us off the NALeads.com page. So this is kind of how they're doing it now. So when you go to the arc.naleads.com, this is where I got to get used to finding where the carriers are. It's got to be in resources. Carriers, under training.
Training.
Okay. Carriers, click on carriers, and there should be a drop. Oh, there you go.
Okay.
So there's all the drop downs. So they're trying to, okay, well, it's good we're doing this. I appreciate you, Courtney.
You're welcome. Hey, I'm keeping you up.
You are, I'm telling you what. Now I've got to get used to looking at this. So CFG, all the product information, the underwriting guidelines, diabetes rating, all the stuff is here. The videos on learning it via video, the Safe Shield term, dignified choice, all the training PowerPoints here. So you can kind of run through that. So that's like CFG. So let's go to the other ones. Now that I know where to find them.
Product guide for CFG in there also, or is there a?
Yeah, it is.
Oh, I see it.
All expense product guide right there. Safe Shield product and underwriting guide.
Okay. Yeah.
So now we have, okay, so the second one's Foresters. Forsters, they are, oh wow, they got to view more. So they got more stuff. Oh wow, it expands. Okay, this is their full product line. Their plan right is like the CFG choice whole life. The deal with plan right is their EApp is not the easiest thing in the world. And I actually have a page on my website for Foresters, but their EApp is not the easiest, but you will have to learn how to do it eventually, okay?
Okay.
But don't feel like when you're going out dialing the phone on Monday, when you start making your first dials, don't think that you're not going to serve clients, because you will with the CFG and Great Western. I mean, you absolutely will be able to give them something, right?
Okay.
You're not hurting them. So Foresters, and then we have Mutual of Omaha. Okay, same thing. They've got a lot more product line, okay? But their products for whole life is Living Promise here somewhere. Living Promise is their whole life. And their term is Term Life Express. That's similar to the Safe Shield term with CFG. So you'll notice they all have kind of the same line of product in that particular space. So the difference sometimes is how they do the EApp, how they might underwrite someone a little bit differently. The rates really aren't much different. So like one thing agents get hung up on, Courtney, is it's like, well, I got to shop the best rates. You know, really what you got to shop for is the best underwriting. And the rate differences are subtle, like a few bucks here and there. So it's not really enough to make a big difference. So like, don't fall into that trap that a lot of people fall into, well, I got to get them the cheapest price. Well, we don't even know if they can get that cheap price. So, you know, that's sort of a secondary thing. And then the only other one that I think I'd like for us all to learn is CVS Health. Which now I feel good because I go to CVS and pick up my prescriptions. So now I feel like I'm part of CVS family now. Anyway, you ought to get your contracted with them. So in order to do that, go to nacontracting.com, log in, and then this is one of those contracts where you got to request to be invited to apply. So you got to click on the little box and then click the button, and then you'll hear within 2-3 days they're going to send you an email to fill out the contracting. The reason why we think this is a cool product is because there are no height and weight guidelines. Okay, so normally, because of the height and weight guidelines, if someone busts the guidelines, we immediately have to go to guaranteed issue. But now that we have this product that has no height and weight guidelines, then we can write them a normal whole life, you know, depending on how they answer the other questions, and not have to pay the guaranteed issue prices. Plus, the benefits immediately available. They don't got to wait 2 years, right? Okay. So I'm going to start incorporating this in the boot camps, and you know, because it seems like a very simple product, right? And now, as far as EApps, they kind of put all the EApps in one place. So the EApps now are located under My Business, and then you go down to EApps. Then you can click on whichever one you need. Instead of like the old NALease.com page, we had to go to the carrier page and then click on the EApp button. Now they have it all in one page. So it's under My Business, EApps. Okay.
All right.
So I think that's it.
So then you fill out the apps. I'm sorry. So then you fill out the app, and then they'll come back with like a waiting period, okay, well, it'll be like an underwriting time, and it'll take like 2 to 3 business days for them to come back with some kind of answer.
In fact, I like to tell them, like, let's go back to the PowerPoint. So PowerPoint is your guide to walk someone through. So once they pick the option, we fill out the application. So we tell them, okay, I'm going to need your social security number, driver's license, doctor's name, address, and phone number, banking information, beneficiary and contingent beneficiaries. And then we need to be real accurate when I ask you the health questions, because if we don't answer them correctly, they're going to think you're trying to hide something. And they all know what your health is, because there's this database that all the insurance companies tap into called the MIB, where they can look it up. And this is how we get a client, Courtney, to tell the truth, because clients fib. You know, you might be the fourth agent thinking that they can get through you, you know, and so you got to tell them that they have to be accurate. In other words, you can't tell them don't lie on the application. We just have to be accurate. Okay.
Right.
So then we fill out the application. Then we get to what happens from here. So congratulations, you're now covered during the underwriting period. When the carrier receives your application, they're going to draft your account immediately. So this is where we warn them that they're going to draft their account immediately. Or if they did specify a time, like it actually happened to me today, the client said, well, she goes, now you're not going to draft that right away, are you? So after I took the financial, like the banking information on the application, I go, no, you could pick a date when you want it out. She goes, yeah, the 15th. So when I get here, I say, okay, now they're going to draft your account on the 15th, like we put in the application. And if you get declined, the premium's refundable, so you don't need to worry about it. But during this period of underwriting, you're covered. So if something should happen to you, we'll be able to apply for the benefits. They're going to take about 7 days to approve you. That gives us a little bit more wiggle room, because like I just found out my client was approved within seconds of me submitting all the signatures. So you're going to find out right away some of these situations, but we want to tell them 7 days, you know, because sometimes it might take 7 days. We want to, you know, manage the expectations. And then if they should approve you, they're going to mail you the policy within 10 days. And then when you receive it, I'm going to call you back, get the telesale. I'm going to call you back, and then we'll go over it and make sure it's got everything you want. If you should get declined, Joe and Mary, then I will come back and I will let you know, and I'll share with you another product that I think will be able to take care of you.
Okay.
All right. So this is how we tell them what's going to happen now. We manage their expectations, and that's what's going to happen. Like I just found out my client was approved. So I'm going to let her know next week when I call her back that it was approved. You should be getting it within 7 to 10 days. When you get it, give me a call back, and then we can go over it and make sure it's got everything.
Okay.
So that is, by the way, I was thinking about adding a second hour of boot camp on another day to do exactly this that I did with you. Because when you asked me to do this, it was like, gosh, I really need to talk about field underwriting, right? I need to go over how they rate health. Like, you know, when you do a fully underwritten policy, you can get super preferred, standard, and then it can be rated up to table A, B, C, and D, like, you know, the whole, and then talk about underwriting. And so I probably will do that at some point, but so this was really good. So I appreciate you asking me to do this, because this helped me and a lot of other agents out there.
Well, I appreciate you taking time on a Saturday to do this for me, because I wanted to be able to make that, you know, fully commit to this, you know, and not be left hanging on the cliff. So,
well, based on your background, and I think, you know, your kind of need to achieve, you're gonna kill it. So like when you asked me, it's like, oh, awesome! I get to spend a little more time with someone who I think is going to be an awesome producer, and you'll be able to help a lot of families out there in the desert of California.
yes. Yeah.
All right. Any other questions, Courtney?
I do have one more question.
Please.
I know a lot of this was final expense and everything like that, but I think some of the leads that Jenny gave me were for mortgage protection.
Yes.
So is that obviously something different than final expense?
Right. So that is the
decreasing term, basically.
Yeah, the term is the Safe Shield term. And so just like we did with them on that, we're going to pull up the CFG Safe Shield product guide. the product guide is your friend.
Okay.
So my question is,
I just feel like I have all this information and then like it's like my day one of being a paramedic and I get on the ambulance and I have no clue what I'm doing.
yeah, that, by the way, that feeling will not go away for a little bit.
Okay,
Even
good.
though,
So I know what it's like.
yeah, I'm sure you know. I can't even imagine what it's like going out on your first call, and your heart was probably racing. You got your bag. It's like, oh my God, I hope there's something like a cut or something I could like stitch up or something.
Yes, but that's never the case. See, you get
Never.
called for an abdominal pain and this person's really having a heart attack. So
Oh God. You're thinking, I got to save a life, man. This is my first day. I got to save a life.
yes, it got easy. It got much easier, but
And this will too. So really there's a lot of analogies. Like I think I told you before. So here's the Safe Shield, all the parameters of Safe Shield,
okay.
the term periods, the issue
Okay.
ages. Okay, so this kind of gives you an idea. Now, again, going back to um, the underwriting, which is really the main thing. The height and weight charts are right here. Okay.
Okay.
Now here's the thing: if they bust these height and weight charts, then we got to go with the whole life. And
Okay.
so the question is, well, someone wants to cover their $200,000 mortgage, and we have to do whole life. They can't get, because 35,000 is the max. Well, this is where we go into mortgage payment protection. So a lot of times you're going to have seniors where a term is not going to make sense because it's too expensive for their age, and they're not old enough to even qualify for the term. So we got to go mortgage payment protection. And what we do with that is we use a whole life product to cover 6 months, 12 months, 18 months, 24 months of mortgage payments. So when you look back at the PowerPoint, this is where we drop those seeds, right? The PowerPoint, kind of our process is the way that we drop the seeds as to what we're going to do for them, particularly if they're older. So in this mortgage, how does mortgage protection work? It helps pay your mortgage off when you die. Helps. Okay, so no, we don't say it will, because some people can't afford covering the whole thing, but we can get them some coverage so they can refinance the house and get the payment lower. The benefits of mortgage protection is they get to choose the beneficiary, so it doesn't go to the bank, it goes to their loved ones, and then your loved one can decide what they want to do to either pay the house off or downsize, whatever they want to do, but it's their tax-free money and it doesn't go to the bank. This is portable, so it follows you. It doesn't stay with the house, the mortgage. You get a new mortgage, it still stays in force. Okay, you move, it still follows you. So, and then the coverage, the death benefit doesn't decrease like a lot of those type of decreasing policies. You buy 100,000, it'll stay 100,000 for the entire period of time,
Okay.
and the premiums stay the same also. So here's another option, Joe and Mary. To make it affordable, we can do a split plan where we cover half the mortgage balance with the full benefit program and half with accidental death. That just makes it more affordable for you. And then the mortgage payment protection option, we can cover 6, 12, or 24 months or more of mortgage payments. So that gives your beneficiary, your loved one, time to decide what to do. They could keep the house for a period of time to make sure they get the best possible offer on the house. They preserve their equity. So, they sell the house, they got 6 months, a year, they can get the maximum equity out of the house, and then they have that money to move into a new place, downsize, or whatever the case may be. And Joe and Mary, since you're older, a lot of our seniors go with this program because it's much more affordable than a term program that you could outlive. So you see how I drop the seed onto a mortgage payment protection for the older person. And so this PowerPoint is how I set them up when you have a senior. So you're going to know by that lead how old they are. If they're like 62, 65, 75, then you're going to have to go the mortgage payment protection route. And I would probably just start talking about that option for them to plant the seed, okay? And then that's where I use whole life, the CFG choice whole life. And so you find out what their mortgage payments. So if their mortgage payment's $1,000, then my first option, I'll probably show them a 6 month of mortgage payments, which is $6,000. Maybe 9 months, depending on how old they are and how expensive. I might just show 9 months for $9,000 and 12 months for $12,000. Now, when I present it to them, Courtney, I'm not going to say, okay, this is how much for $6,000. Now I'm going to tell them, okay, I want you to write this down. For 6 months of mortgage payments, so that your spouse can have 6 months of time already paid for, the mortgage covered, it's going to be this much. Now for 9 months, it's going to be this much, and for 12 months, it's going to be this much. So you're not talking death benefit, because when you say 6,000 and then you tell them how much it is, in their mind, they're going to go, well, that's way too much for only $6,000, right? You got to talk about the solution, not the amount. It's what that amount will buy in terms of solution, right? It's kind of like when you buy a drill, you don't buy a drill for the drill, you buy the drill for the hole. So it's the same analogy here. You're buying it for what it can do. You're not selling them for what it is. Does that make sense?
Yes.
So that's where you use the choice. Now, if you got someone who's like, average age, well, then we're going to go with the Safe Shield term policy, and then we use the guide. So in general, what's nice about the Safe Shield is it already talks about unacceptable risk. So these are the knockout or disorders. So they don't do it so much in a questionnaire. The questionnaire actually is like the whole life, where all the knockout questions are at the beginning of the application. But you can actually start, when you ask them the health questions, this is where you can kind of get an idea. Like, in general, if they got any heart issues, they're not going to be able to get the simplified issue term product. So it makes it a little bit easy when you know in general what their problems are. But you can kind of read through this. It's not too long, actually, to get a feel for, it's only 2 pages. And, if you're kind of in that underwriting mindset, you can kind of see, like if they have asthma, like you find out they're taking medication for asthma, is it moderate or is it severe? Severe meaning, have you been in the hospital because of it, like emergency room? That's severe asthma, these kind of things. So once you read through this, you kind of get a feel for, what they're able to accept. There's a diabetes field underwriting guidelines. So this tells you the parameters of diabetes. So insulin diabetics under the age of 50, that's a no-no. Insulin diabetics who use tobacco and nicotine products, that's a no-no either. Like, they're kind of on a fast road to death, you know what I mean, when they got these extenuating things that they do lifestyle-wise. Non-insulin, that's the pill diabetics. So this will be a really good guide for you to kind of understand. And then there's a whole different height and weight chart for the diabetes people, okay? They do it by points too. So you add all the points together, see if they can get into it. Medication guidelines, okay? So, so typically what I've usually found is that the people that are of average age, they typically are going to be okay. They're not on a lot of medications and they're, decent health. If they start being the senior client, where we probably would show the mortgage payment protection with the whole life anyway, then, so it almost kind of like their age will kind of dictate it in a sense what we're going to do for them. But it works just like the whole life. The quoting tool, the EApp, very similar. So it's nothing like hairy that's crazy different. It's just the underwriting's a little bit more stringent as far as what we can cover them with.
Okay.
All right?
Sounds good.
All right. So call me early and often. Like if you're with someone, I don't care if you call me 10 times. I'm going to help you close it. I'm going to help you with whatever you need to do to make it happen. And so when you're booking appointments, when you're calling the phone, it's just, you're just trying to find the nice people that haven't got this taken care of And on those bonus leads, you are going to find people that they just didn't get it the first time or the second time the agent called them. But now with COVID, they're like all about it. And then when you call
Right.
them, it's kind of like a message from heaven. Oh my
Right.
God, thank you for calling me. I've been thinking about this. So you become their angel.
Right.
All right.
All right. Awesome. Thank you so much.
All right, no problem. And then, like I said, call me whenever I'm around this weekend, and just here to help you. So,
All right.
okay,
Perfect. All right. Thank you.
take care.
You too.
Okay, bye now.
Bye.